All, this is Rabbi Saacks. Thank you for joining us at the Chai Academy, a virtual classes on Judaism. This is we've been doing this since COVID began, and even though COVID has subsided, we are still very much continuing this project. So where the course is entitled "The Pros and Cons of Marriage," and this is under the self-help section of the Chai Academy. So there's general headings and then there's subheadings. So the heading would be self-help. Yesterday, for example, was on stubbornness. The days before was managing trauma. And today is pros and cons of marriage. Now, let's be honest. Let's be honest. We know the problems. We know the problems. You have two people, right? Two people with their own ideas, with their own idiosyncrasies, with their own temperaments, with their own moods, with their own upbringing, coming together and supposed to build a life forever until death do us part. Right? It's kind of it's self-destructive. How do you get two people to enmesh forever? Right? Is it asking too much? We do know the statistics are that 50% of people that get married are divorced. And second marriages is even higher. I believe it's 63%. So think about it. The marriages that I attend and or officiate, half of them are going to end up in divorce. It seems terrible. At my preschool, half of these kids are going to be divorced when they get older and get married in Hebrew school, etc. It's very, very disturbing, extremely disturbing concept that marriage is not working. Now, we do know that since the 60s, a lot has changed. And prior to the 60s, if you wanted to have you want to be intimate, have a sexual experience, then you got married. Nowadays, people move in together, and one night stands and flings are not uncommon. It just happens. I mean, I think most of the couples that I officiate at, when they fill out the application, it's the same address, which tells me they live together. And this is the norm, and I get it. So you don't need marriage to have intimacy. In the Orthodox world, by the way, you do, for the most part. There's no premarital sex. You get married and you're intimate. Children, you don't even need to be married to have children. You just have a child, and that's that. You a love child happens all the time. Right? I wrote an article yesterday about Bill Gates. Bill Gates had a love child who he refused to recognize. Eventually, he was forced into it, but he had a love child. And then they said, why would I want to be tied down to somebody 24/7? I like my own freedom. I like my own independence. I like going back to my own apartment where I can be myself. And if I'm in the mood for company, I'll have company. If I'm, and even if you live in the same place, even if you live in the same apartment, you live in the same house, there's not this full commitment. You're lovers, you're roommates. But marriage is completely different. Also, assets, right? Why should I marry somebody and then all of a sudden have to give up my half of my assets to the person? 50% chance the marriage won't work out. So why should I? So we know there's problems, and we understand the reasons. It reminds me, by the way, of a woman was telling her therapist. She goes, when I got engaged, I was complete. And when I got married, I was finished. So we know that marriage is so does marriage make sense? Does it? One could argue it doesn't make sense at all in any way, shape, or form. How can we make sense of marriage? How can we make marriage work? So I think we have to go back. We have to go back to the first Jew. The firstborn Jew. The first Jew was Abraham, right? He became a monotheist, and God said, "Okay, you're my nation." The firstborn Jew was Yitzchak. Why was he called Yitzchak? Isaac. Why was he called, right, son of Abraham and Sarah? Why was he called Yitzchak? Because Sarah said, "Tzachok." Is this a joke? I'm 90 years old. It's almost like, a joke is played on me. When she was informed that she's going to get pregnant, and she says, "Oh, come on. Tzachok asali," Batitzchak tzara. Sarah laughed. And when she gave birth, she goes, "Tzachok." It's a joke. So she called him Yitzchak. Now, I don't know about you, but can you imagine growing up and they say, "What's your name?" And you say, "Joker." Right? And you're in class, "What's your name?" "Joker." Teenager in college, "Joker." And joke. It's, what an odd name to give a kid, right? We have, as people, as a human race, and this, especially the Jewish human race, we have a hard enough time with a normal name, with our self-confidence. Now you want to give this kid a name Yitzchak, meaning joke. It's a tough one to swallow. Yitzchak grows up. He marries Rebecca, and he had no choice but to go to Philistine, which is the Gaza Strip, in order to acquire for himself food. There was a famine. He was going to go to Egypt. He couldn't go to Egypt, but he could go to Philistine, right? So he went, and Avimelech, the king, saw Rebecca, and she was extremely beautiful. And he says, "Can I have this woman?" He goes, No, she's my sister. Like Abraham, he told the same fib. The Torah tells us that by Yashkev Avimelech looked in the window one day, and he saw that Yitzchak and Rivka were metzachik, were having fun, were laughing. What were they doing? They were making love. They were being intimate. So it's the same word as joke. Intimate. They were being intimate. What is a joke? What is a joke? A joke is, first of all, you take truth and you bend it a little bit, or you're telling a story. It's not truth. You're telling a story, and then at the end, it gives an unexpected twist. That's what a joke is. The audience expects you to go one way, and you drop a bomb and you go the other way. They tell the story of a husband and wife who were arguing. The husband wanted to buy a boat. The wife had no interest in them owning a boat. So the husband one day said, "You know what? I'm going to buy a boat. I'm going to buy a boat." And she starts hollering, and she goes, "You know what? I'm going to buy the boat, and you can name the boat. Whatever you want." And he did. He bought the boat against her will. And he said, "Okay, go name the boats." He said, "Okay, I will go name the boat." And he comes to the day of the christening of the boat, as it's called. And he comes there, and the boat has a big name, huge letters, and it says on it, "For sale." So that's a joke where you were not expecting that punchline, right? So a joke is the unexpected. That's what a joke is. So now we think about the first Jew being called Yitzchak, joke. He was being intimate, joke. What we're really saying is that we have to do the unexpected. We have to do something that's beyond ourselves. So there's normal is expected. A normal life is expected. An abnormal life would be the unexpected. What's a normal life? A normal life is we're born, we go to school, we grow up, and we say, wow, the whole world is at my feet. What I want to do is I want to have a good life, and the person takes the steps to have a good life. So therefore, I want to make money, so I'm going to go into this profession, and I want to live hard and play hard and work hard, and I'm going to go on vacations, and I'm going to go to these restaurants I've never had, a breaded veal. I'm going to try that, and I have never had duck and a foie gras, and I'm going to buy a Tesla, and I'm going to buy a BMW. Just everything to make your life pleasurable, right, and easy. And of course, you find a beautiful spouse or a handsome spouse, and in order for this marriage to work, you compromise a little bit, she compromises a little bit, but you have this eye candy on your shoulder, with your arm around her shoulder, or she has eye candy and she's holding on to her man, and expected life. Of course, there are bumps in the road, but the expected life continues. But then there's another way to live. And that is the unexpected. The unexpected. What is the unexpected? What is the unexpected? So unexpected is abnormal. Because what the unexpected is you have to now not just live for you. That's what we do. We live for ourselves. Right? You listen to this lecture, or this class, because you enjoy it. If you didn't enjoy it, you would probably shut it off after a few minutes, right? You do things because you enjoy it. If you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't go, right? And you do things even if you don't enjoy it. You do it because you have to, because you got to do it, because it's for you. You go to a dentist to have a root canal. You don't enjoy it, but you go to the dentist because you have to take care of you. Right? So we build hospitals, and we build offices for business, and we get investors. Is it because we want to make our investors money? No, we need their money to invest in our business, etc., and on and on and on. The unexpected is where you not only live the expected life, but you also lead a transcendental life. You live a life beyond yourself. This, by the way, is why charity is so important. This is why charity, giving tzedakah, is just incredible, because yes, it may make you feel good, etc. Some people, it doesn't make them feel good, and they still give charity. They push themselves, squeeze themselves. What is it? Is that you are giving something that's unexpected. So, as we'll explain, marriage is to giving of yourself, transcending yourself, and is the unexpected. It says in the Torah, Genesis, go right back to the beginning. God created man. And God created man in God's image. We discussed yesterday that it's God's image, not your version of God's image, not your image of God. It's God's image. Why did God, the sages ask, why did God create this world? Why did he create man? Did he need man? Did he need mankind? Did he need all this? Did he need trees? And did he need water and bushes and cars? And did he need the ISIS? And did he need the Palestinian terror, domestic terror? Did he need all this stuff? Why did he do it? Why did he do it? So the sages, Hasidic sages, say God was perfect. God was not lacking anything. So he didn't create the world because he was lacking anything. You know why he created the world? He created the world because he was lacking something. I always tell people that I am lactose intolerant. Right? So God was lacking. The one thing he was missing is that he wasn't missing anything. So he created the world in order to give something where man has the ability to choose. And it's not God. It's not part of pre-programming. That's why God created the world, is because he wanted to see, can he give himself to somebody who won't necessarily reciprocate. And everything else is pre-programmed, except for the human being. The human being can make free choices of their own without the pre-program. It's just incredible thought. So why did God create the world? It's because he wanted, he wasn't missing anything. He wasn't lacking anything. And therefore, he wanted to see, can he give of himself to somebody who won't kowtow to him automatically via a program? Could man love God and give back to God and become connected to God and oneness with God, and therefore revert back to God not missing anything? It's very deep. That's why he created the world. God was like the perfect specimen. God was 6'2", athletic. God was rich, owned many homes, could do what he wanted, afford anything and everything. Wasn't missing anything. But he was. He was missing. He was missing, not missing. So, he created man to give of himself, of God's self. This is what marriage is. Marriage is not the normal path, the expected path. It's expected plus the unexpected. Yes, you live life for you. Of course you live life for you. I live life for me. Right? My goals in life is to be able to feed my family and have a good marriage and go on vacation once or twice a year and enjoy good food, etc. I live for that too, but we also taught that you can't only live for that. You have to live for the unexpected. And the unexpected is giving of yourself to others. Love something else. And let's define love for a minute. First of all, Tina Turner says, what's love got to do with it? And she may have a point, by the way. Here, take this humorous anecdote. It really happened. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, the founder of the Muslim movement, the ethics movement, Jewish ethics movement, he saw a person sitting down and eating a piece of chicken. And he was eating the piece of chicken passionately. And he said to the person, "You're really enjoying that, aren't you?" He goes, "I love chicken. I love chicken." So Rabbi Yisrael Salanter looked at him and goes, "If this is what you do to the things you love, I would hate to see what you do to the things you hate." Did he love this chicken? No. He loved himself. He loved in taste buds. He loved grilled or barbecued or in a soup, or and he wanted to give his taste buds a treat. So therefore, he had chicken. So, what does love mean? And by the way, love doesn't mean you like. Right? We all have relatives that, we love them. They're our relatives. Blood is thick in the water. But do we like them? I dare say not. I dare say we don't like them. Right? There are those we absolutely don't like. Right? There are people that, we can respect and like, but definitely don't love. So how do we pull all this together? So first of all, I think there's a very big difference between dating versus marriage, right? Dating, dating, um, is basically, you take out your date for a nice meal, and you hold the door open for her. I always say, by the way, that when I see a man hold a door open for a woman, I say it's one of two things. One is that this is a newlywed, or they're dating, or it's a brand new car. So you hold the door open, you have a nice meal, and then you enjoy the night, and then you go home. You go home. And you come home, you throw your socks on the floor, and you take a shower, you sit down, grab a beer, watch a football game, brush your teeth or not, go to sleep. Your bed is full of your clothes, you just push them on the floor, and you go to sleep. Marriage, you can't live like that. Marriage is you come home to the same person every single day. And while you're at work, she calls, how was your day? How's it going? Right? And when you go on vacation, for the most part, you go together. Right? You can only be intimate with one person. So you're giving that up. You're giving your time, your patience, right? That is what marriage is. Is you're giving yourself up, which is unnatural, to somebody forever, for your lifetime, right? And during this marriage, you have to love him, and you have to, more importantly, respect him, right? And by the way, that's the idea of mikveh. That's the idea of, mikveh is that 12 days of the month. You want the couple are not intimate. The rest of the time they can be intimate, and it goes via the woman's menstrual cycle. So 12 days you can make. So for the rest of the month you can make love. You become one with the person. Literally, figuratively, etc., emotionally. The other, for 12 days, you can't make love. There's no intimacy. So therefore, you actually learn respect. So there's a hot love, a passionate love, and then there's more of a logical love, or an emotional love without sex. And it teaches you to have this full relationship with your spouse, not always resorting to the bedroom after a fight, but rather working it out. So that's what it is. It's a commitment to give over yourself to another person 24/7, sometimes with benefits and sometimes without benefits. That's unexpected. That's why he was called Yitzchak. Because Abraham was teaching him a lesson that in order to get through this institution, Jackie Mason always says that he never got married, never had any kids. And when he used to say on his show, he says, why didn't you get married? He says, because my father always told me marriage is an institution and I don't want to be institutionalized. Okay? That's what he always said. You give yourself 24/7 over to this person. Now, that still doesn't explain how you get through it. I mean, you still have the issues, the fightings, and this, etc., etc. So there's a letter from the Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, that says that you can date as long as you want, date as long as you need. But once you decide, once you get engaged, get married. Why? Date for a long time, you're engaged for a short time. And I was engaged 3 months, 3.5 months. These couples that are engaged for 2 years, it was against the Rebbe's philosophy. The Rebbe's philosophy is you're dating to see if this is your match. Take your time, right? Once you discover that this is your match and you engage, you commit yourself, why wait? The problem with engagement is that you're not bonded. You're still two separate entities. There's you and there's your fiance. Right? It is a marriage, you're one. If you have an argument, what you do, you work it out. If you have a bad argument, you may sleep on the couch one night, but you got to work it out. Right? That is the mindset. When you're engaged, you have an argument, it could spell trouble. So the Rebbe advises getting married. Don't have a long engagement, have a short engagement and get married. And we're also advised to get married young. Because when you're young, it's like you're merging together. You have less nonsense, less idiosyncrasies. You kind of mature together. When you get married at an older age, it's very difficult because you're set in your ways. It's like when two startup companies forge together, it's much easier than have two companies that have been set in place for 50 years merge together. Think of the trouble that Time Warner had merging with AOL. They never got it right. They were huge, and they put it together, and it's been nonsense ever since. It doesn't work. So that's why we also advocate getting married early, because you're not so set in your ways. So have a short engagement, but you have you can date as long as you want. And the philosophy and the outlook and the attitude one has is that when you get married, this is for a lifetime. It's not that you go into marriage saying, oh, this is, if it doesn't work out, I always have an out. Right? Or let's see how it goes for a year and then I'll decide, whether I made the right choice. No, when you go to marriage, when a person gets married, it has to be that you're married for life. And in fact, I was told when I got married that we should not even use the D word, the divorce word, in jest. It's the D word. It's like the F curse, you have the D curse. You don't say that word, period. You just do not articulate that word. Nothing. Right? Yes, the Torah says there's this concept called a get, a divorce. There is. It's a tragic necessity. That's what it is. And sometimes people gotta, if it's used right, it's a tragic necessity. But it shouldn't be abused. That wasn't the idea. Is they get married, you get to, it wasn't the idea of Elizabeth Taylor getting married 8 times and sometimes to the same person for a second time. That's not what the Torah meant when you have a get. You have a get when it's untenable, when he's an abuser, or he abuses your kids, or she's a maniac and throws things, shoes at you and pots at you. Yeah, but barring that, you have an argument, work it out. He's disgusting to you. Stop being disgusting. He abuses you, and he's violent with you, and he puts you down constantly, or he hits you. Yeah, of course, that's a tragic necessity. But it's not like you don't get married like you buy a car. You don't get married like you buy an article of clothing. With a car, and same thing with a computer, with a laptop. Right? You buy a laptop, right, and it breaks. You go into the store, and you need to buy another laptop. You may not find the right one, exactly what you're looking for. Either it's what you're looking for, the price is too high, or it's not what you're looking for, and the price is right, or it's missing certain things that, right? It doesn't have such a good camera like your previous laptop had, right? Whatever it may be. But do you walk out of the store without a laptop? No. Because a laptop is dispensable. Likewise with a car. You need a car. Your car died. You go and you get a car. If it's not from this dealership, it's from that dealership. Ultimately, you get a car. Is it the ultimate car you were looking for? Not necessarily. And with a spouse, so they're not perfect. It's not dispensable. It's not dispensable. You work together. And sometimes you just have to know their faults and their flaws and live with it. Other times, if it's really big, you got to change their flaws. You got to work on it so it's not as flawed. But you can't seek to change them, their personality. So the outset is, I'm getting married for life. I'm committing myself to you, which means I am not committing myself to anybody else in the capacity as a spouse. Just that person. I won't sleep with anybody else. I won't flirt with anybody else. And I won't go on vacation with anybody else unless you don't object. So my teammates are going on vacation, or my company is taking me. Yeah, honey, can I go? Go. Yeah, but if you say no, don't go. Then work it out. So that's what it means, commitment. The unexpected, the abnormal. Do things that are more than just you. Don't just live for yourself. Live for someone else. Some people have very, very easy time living for their kids, but that's your own flesh and blood. Making your spouse your own flesh and blood, that is the trick. That, my friends, is the key. It's been a quiet group today. I thought I would get a lot of flack or pushback. You can always reach me at rabbi@thechaicenter.com, or you can comment here. To see previous classes, it's thechaicenter.com/academy. You can also find the academy on YouTube, Chai Academy, on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, etc., etc. Please, please, please share this message. Be well. It's not my wisdom. Share Torah's wisdom. Be well.